Hi everybody. In the last few weeks I've mostly been drawing from references, but this week I want to make my own scene. So obviously I didn't just go in and freestyle it. I'm a baby, so I needed something to work off of. So I actually started with 3 key ideas in mind. And the first one is kind of a cliche, but it's a cliche that I enjoy quite a bit. And it's those pretty typical evil guy science room, I guess, with all the screens and the buttons, the unmarked buttons that flash different colors. And so that's kind of the vibe that I wanted to give to the scene. And the second thing was probably the most crucial one. I had some idea of what the story for this place was going to be. I wanted the protagonist, whoever they are, to enter this place twice. First, by some kind of sneaky secondary hallway to spy on the bad guys as they discuss their evil plans, and second, having like a proper front door. And that really helped me build the scene just out of that narrative. Once you have that, you have enough constraints that you can really build the scene around the narrative. Okay, so here's the sketch that I came up with. You can see there are the 2 main passageways, here and here, and you can also see a big ass machine in the middle of it, and that's the third thing that I wanted to add to the scene. And for that I took some very loose inspiration from a video by Tom Scott about a nuclear reactor that's run by students in a university in Oregon. This is real. I'll link the video in the description. From there, I took that sketch and I just copied it in pixel art originally, as I usually do in a 1-bit color palette. I had to go over the top left of the screen quite a few times. First because I didn't really have any idea what I wanted. I wanted some kind of support for the big machine in the middle, but it was difficult to make something that was convincing in such a little space. And I found that's actually quite a recurring issue with isometric. Because everything is lined up in a diagonal, you end up having the corners being kind of empty. And some games like Digimon World 3 that I took reference from a few times on this channel already deals with this by just leaving it blank, leaving the whole area that isn't really relevant black. But because I want this to stand up on its own as a standalone artwork, I had to find something to put it there, and yeah, this kind of metal thingy was good enough, I guess. And once I copied everything, I just kept on adding more detail, especially on the left here. I wanted this area to be kind of messy so that it's reasonably plausible that someone could hide there and not really be noticed in the middle of all the mess. I also added a lot of pipes everywhere around the scene. I don't know that they serve any kind of purpose. I did them where it felt plausible, like on the machine and around the kind of AC units that I put up there. But they mostly help selling a kind of industrial, more complex vibe than I guess I was able to convey with the regular kind of detail. Originally I wanted the hole here to have some kind of cyan glow coming out of it from the Cherenkov radiation that you see emanating from the nuclear reactor in the original video. I ended up moving the hole a bit too far down for me to have really any room to add the glow, but I kept the name and I called this place the Cherenkov station. So with all that junk being added to the scene, I feel like the scene was full enough, and so I moved on to the colouring. And for the colour palette, I actually worked out the colour palette in advance, and I think until now I underestimated just how powerful and how liberating I guess that can be. To not really have to worry about what colors to use when you're applying color, but instead to just figure out how you can use that color palette as best you can. So this is what the color palette looks like. I originally had only these 2 ramps and only added the brighter colors later as the kind of accents that you're going to see on the buttons and in the kind of battery bar on the big machine. The nice thing is that the orange ramp that I used for the main machine actually can be fit into the blue ramp, I guess. There's so much hue shifting in the color palette that these 2 darker purples can be used as the darker shades of the brownish purple color of the machine. And when the shadows look the same, or at least look like the same color across the whole scene, it helps sell it as being a bit more cohesive. Originally, I found the process of going over the outlines a bit awkward, but it ended up being a good opportunity to add some rim lighting very early on, especially when you have something that's that simple. It's really just a few cylinders stacked on top of each other. It can help to reinforce the geometry of the machine to really emphasize those corners. I did this with rim lighting, and you'll see later on I reinforced them further by adding some grime in there, as if some kind of dust accumulated in there. I also made sure that the screens were the only major source of light in the scene. There's this tiny lamp on the left, but I didn't really make too much with it. Having one source of light makes the whole scene a lot more dramatic. Most of the machine ends up being in shadows, right? Really dark. Hopefully that helps direct attention where the bad guys would be discussing their plans, where most of the action would be happening. And also hopefully that helps sell the idea that, yeah, this place is moody and dark, so it's for the bad guys. For the texture of the floor, I actually used the perspective grid that I used to build the scene in the first place. And then I just very quickly and kind of dirtily removed some bits, made some bits lighter, some bits darker, to kind of hopefully give some idea that those are actually 3D tiles living in the world. It's not the cleanest way of doing it, but for something that was quick and easy, it added a lot of texture to the final product, so I'm pretty happy with it. But anyway, I'm getting close to the end here, so let's wrap the time lapse up here and let's see the finished product. I did this by doing a final pass to add a bit of grime on most of the metallic edges, like hopefully to make the place feel a bit more lived in, a bit more, actually real, and also to make it a bit darker. What I managed to do definitely helped, but I also am not entirely convinced that it was enough. For me, this was very inspired from Cyberpunk, and those tend to be very heavily detailed, have posters everywhere, things sticking, and feel like things really feeling grimy in a way that I don't think I quite achieved yet. So I think this might have deserved a final pass of some more details. Right, I think that's going to be it for me this week. I'm interested to see what you think of it. This was very fun to do. I'll definitely keep trying to make my own scenes. This video ended up being very late, so by the time this is uploaded, it should already be the start of Inktober. So that's fun. I'll be doing that over on my Twitter for the next month. But I'll be sure to keep uploading stuff on this channel. I'll probably skip next Sunday, seeing as though it's in 2 days and I don't have time to make a full video. But I'll be back the Sunday after that. So yeah, thank you for watching. Take care. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.